We're going to call this meeting to order at 7:03 p.m. So with that, we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance because everyone stand for Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So the first thing on tonight's agenda is the approval of the minutes from the last Senate meeting. The minutes have been posted online for the past week and a half. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from last week? So moved. Is there a second? All those in favor to approve the minutes from the last Senate meeting, please say aye. All those opposed? Minutes have been passed. Next is the approval of the agenda for the night. Are there any changes to the agenda tonight? If not, is there a motion to approve the minutes of the agenda? All right, so moved. Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. All right, agenda approved. Next is the President's report. So today I'm just going to talk about, or going to mention, we did find out about a passing of a student today named David John Lord. I'm just going to ask that everyone please have a moment of silence for Jonathan, or for David John. He passed away on October 2nd, 22nd. So just give me a minute of silence. All right. Now, I just wanted to mention with this passing that the Grief and Counseling Center is available for those who need it. It's the Counseling and Psychological Services Center and the Wellness Center at Winnan. So if you do need any help, please reach out to them. We strongly suggest it. So with that, my report, generally, this is going to have a fairly interesting meeting today. We are talking about turf fields as well as some scholarship information. So with that, that concludes my report. And now we have open session. For open session, we have Stephanie Ackerman from the Office of Student Leadership and Orientation. She's going to talk about orientation. So Stephanie, please come up. Do you need a mic? Or that mic works as well.
Hi guys, my name is Stephanie Ackerman. I'm the Graduate Coordinator for Orientation Student Leadership Program. So real quick, I just wanted to give you guys some information about some info sessions we have coming up. Part of my responsibility is actually working with the peer referral orientation staff, which stands for PROS. Probably you guys better know them as PROS. So PROS were those people, if you guys attended in a summer orientation session, that were in bright yellow shirts leading you around and helping you transition to campus. So it's selection time. It's that time of year again where we're putting applications out. So if you would like to know a little bit more about becoming one of the PROS, please attend one of these information sessions. We'll go into a lot more detail about requirements, responsibilities, time commitments, all of that good stuff. So I'm going to leave this flyer here, but I'm going to go over the information session dates and locations and times really briefly. So if you have a pen, get it out now. If not, again, I'll leave it up here with them. So when I leave, if you guys need any clarification, you'll have it. So we have one this Wednesday, the 12th, in Mimosa Lounge at 9 p.m. We have one this Friday, November 14th at 1:45 p.m. in Student Center 221B. We have one next Monday, November 17th at 7 o'clock p.m. in Student Center 129. We have one the next Tuesday, November 18th at 9 o'clock p.m., Student Center 221. And then we have one more Thursday, December 11th, 11 o'clock a.m., Student Center 127. And applications will be due December 19th. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Stephanie. If you do have any questions, we will have the flyer, and Stephanie, it looks like she will be in the back, and as well as Drew back there. So if you have any questions, please come up or talk to them afterwards. All right, with that, next we have executive announcements. First is Molly.
Hello, everyone. How's it going? So I have a few updates for you. Recently, I contacted Dean Jones about a new initiative I'm starting. For the 2016 presidential election, I'm going to try to have a polling station on campus. That just started, though, so I'll keep you updated on that. Dean Jones has expressed his full support of this, so right now it's just a lot of administrative work, but I'll keep you posted. Also, I mentioned at last Senate that my committee was working on a lot of legal research about know your rights and stuff like that. We've done a lot of it. We've compiled a lot. If you're interested in that, you can reach out to me after the meeting or even come to my committee meetings, which are all Senate Mondays at 8 p.m. in Library 126. It's open to obviously my senators, but also the public. Some senators came to me about transgendered rights issues and stuff like that. I've taken steps to deal with that. I've also talked to Dean Jones about that, as well as the Student Senate. I'll keep you posted on that. If that is something you're interested in, come talk to me after the meeting so I can set up a meeting with you about that. And finally, now that midterm elections are over and we have our newly elected officials, I'm going to try to have an open forum with some state politicians. If that's something you're interested in, or if you're with a communication studies college, come talk to me. All right, thank you. Have a good night.
Okay, hey everyone, I'm Hannah, in case you guys didn't remember. My next meeting is in room 303 in Bunce. It's next Monday, so if you want to be a part of that, please come out, or you can just email me. And I've talked to James Lovegrove in the past week about getting more bike racks at some of the residence halls, and he's in the process of trying to find them and implement them. Also, if you have any concerns about anything, don't hesitate to contact me. All right, thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Alexia, the Chief Financial Officer. A couple announcements for you. First, I gave a brief announcement about this last week, but I want to remind you again that from now on, treasurers should be the ones putting in orders on Gourmet's e-catering. And if you have an SGA account from now on, it should be prompting you to put me as the approver. In past, it used to leave it open-ended, so that's just a change, just to be consistent with our financial paperwork that we have currently. Second, everyone get your pen out because I know I'm going to get emails about this. Supplementals for extra money are due next week, Monday, October 17th, 3 p.m. in my mailbox, no later. I can't accept it because we have to review them and go over them, so that deadline is for November 17th. Also about the Gourmet e-catering, the workshop for that, just because Gourmet wants to engage students and teach them how to put in orders, will be probably next week. We're currently planning it, so probably late next week. Free lunch will be provided, so let your clubs know, have some representation so you know how to order through their new system. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Christine Collins and I'm the Executive Vice President. I just want to take a moment to recognize this month's Club of the Month for the month of October. You all have done an amazing job. I've received almost everyone put in their quarterly progress reports on time, and you're all sending in amazing service projects, but I'd like to recognize emergency medical services. Since 2011, their number of calls have doubled, and they've had 227 calls over the past 2 months. In addition, they are present at things like Proftoberfest, Roglo, sporting events, and they have shifts up to 12 hours, and this is all volunteer work. And they also have outreach programs such as CPR instruction and Heart Safe campus initiatives. So is there a representative from emergency medical services here? Well, they technically don't need to have representation, but we just want to, because they're an institutional service, but we just want to commend them for their work. So.
All right, just some brief announcements for you. First, I'm having my next committee meeting Monday in the same room, 144A, and it's open for everyone. That's at 7 p.m. I would like my academic senators to meet with me up here at the end of Senate. Also, you guys about half of you or so were given surveys. If you got one, please turn them in with your placards, and I'll review them. And lastly, I'm extending the deadline for the College of Humanities and Social Sciences academic senator position, and the one for the College of Engineering closes this Friday at 5 p.m.
What's up, guys? So I'm going to talk about the holiday week. We are having our first, not first annual, it's not annual, it's our first attempt to have a holiday week here on campus to bring more tradition and unite all the students on campus. It was posted up here before, as well as it will be emailed to everybody and placed in the announcer. On Monday, December 1st, we're going to have a unity tree lighting out behind Bunce in the Memorial Green, so please make sure to attend. Also, if your organization would like to receive a service letter, you guys can jump on board with us. Christine sent out an email earlier this afternoon to all club presidents letting them know about the details regarding that. The next committee meeting will meet in the Owl's Nest next Monday at 7 p.m. We'll discuss things like senior week, holiday week, and other things regarding class senators. And also, we're passing around the laptop. Please log into your personal information through Banner and vote. It's really easy. All you have to do is click personal information and then answer a survey. And that's for our at-large Senate positions. You guys can vote for up to 4 students. There's 4 listed on the first page and then 2 listed on the second page. So make sure that you hit next question in order to view those candidates. Those elections do close 11:59 on Wednesday. So you have 2 more days for that. So please get that in. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Ryan, AVP of Student Affairs. Quick committee meeting next week at 8 o'clock in Dewey Lounge in Robinson. Also, on November 19th, we're going to be having our off-campus housing fair. That'll be from 11 to 4. You should all see flyers on your seats when you walked in. So 11 to 4 p.m. in the Student Center pit. Landlords, communities will be around on tables, and they'll be presenting marketing materials. And it's an opportunity for students to go up and talk to them about opportunities of living off campus. That's all.
Hi, everyone. I know I sound like a broken record, but if you haven't signed in, just sign in at the end of the meeting because I don't want to appoint you if you're here.
All right. Any questions for any of the executive team members? All right. Awesome. So next, we're going to move on to unfinished business. However, since there's no unfinished business, we're going to move straight to new business. Under new business, we do have our first resolution. I believe it's 11-2014-3. I can't remember. I can't read it. It's about the SGA scholarship resolution. It's going to be presented. Scholarship first. I can't. What is?
Turf is first.
Turf is. Sorry about that. Turf is actually
Just
first.
kidding.
So you can just bring it up. So Jamie's going to talk about the turf fields. She's going to read the reading.
Good. Okay, so I'm just going to read it real quick, and then I'll take questions afterwards. So whereas the Rowan Student Government Association is responsible for making sure that the needs and interests of the student body are met, and whereas the intramural field hosts over 690 events, practices, and games for students each year with more than 4,700 students utilizing this single outdoor recreational space, and whereas the rapid growth of intramurals and sport club programs, it is difficult for teams to practice or compete the adequate number of days that they request or require to be competitive, and whereas the overuse and excessive wear and tear of the grass creates unplayable conditions and impacts the quality of all programs held there, creating risks and liability problems for Rowan students and visiting opponents, and whereas the recreation center is frequently forced to cancel practices, games, and events due to inclement weather, and all investments made in the maintenance and restoration are impractical and short-lived, and whereas in 2009, an external consulting representing NIRSA found that, quote, a lack of adequate facilities, primarily outdoor field space, makes it difficult to facilitate programs for the current student population. Regional and national standards, along with current and future demand, indicate that Rowan University has fallen woefully short in meeting needs relative to outdoor field space. And whereas current demands for the space do not allow for general student club use or on a regular basis, barring students from using the space for informal drop-in use. And whereas that the funding of the turf installation for the intramural and varsity soccer fields would address the issue of quality, demand, and risk that students currently experience, and whereas installation of turf would add more drop-in student recreation use and allow intramurals and club sports access to the varsity soccer field, which is currently limited to use by athletics. Therefore, let it be resolved that the Student Government Association will put in place a referendum question to gain student support to fund the installation of turf at the intramural and varsity soccer fields. Let it be further resolved that a proposed fee of $10.75 would be added to the semesterly student fees. This additional fee will be in effect for 7 academic years, starting the fall 2015 semester, and will help fund the initial cost of field installation for the fall 2015 academic year. Let it be further resolved that the Recreation Center operating budget will fund equipment, maintenance, and upkeep for subsequent years. Let it be further resolved that the referendum question will open Monday, November 24th, and end 25 days afterward, allowing enough time for a significant representative sample of the student population to vote. Questions?
Before we actually take questions, we're actually going to have the Rec Center, Tina Pinocchi and Kevin George, and some representatives from the Rec Center in general to do a quick little presentation on the turf fields itself. So come up.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Tina Pinocci. I'm the Associate Vice President overseeing campus recreation and the Student Center. I've been at Rowan for 21 years. I opened up the Rec Center in 1993, and the field in question is the same field that we had in 1993. So we wanted, Kevin George is our Assistant Director, and the students that will speak for a few minutes will introduce themselves. For the sake of time, they'll wait till they come up and present. So why are we here? We're here because this initiative really is all about students and meeting the needs of the students. And so it's important, again, to understand that this is for the general student body and all the students that participate or want to participate on the field. Sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words. So you can see what the field looks like in August 2014. We spent considerable amount of money over the summer, $30,000 to $40,000 a summer to seed it, to bring in topsoil, and it looks great in August. And then you can see 2 months later, on the left side, it's a little better picture than picture quality. So by October, you start to see the wear and tear. And now you can really see that by November, it's starting to look like a field that doesn't have much grass and isn't much fun to participate or play on. And then certainly for those of you who have done any kind of participation in the spring months, it's virtually unplayable by the second semester. And so we want to talk a little bit about why the turf is necessary from both a quality, demand, and actually just industry standards perspective.
So my name is Kevin George, Assistant Director of Intramural Sports and Facilities Operations. I've been here 10 years, and it's an exciting time to be at Rowan University with all the changes academically as well as with student life. But we want to really talk about the growth of the campus, including the student participation in sport clubs. In 2006, we only had 3 sport clubs, which 0 of them used the field that we have available, and we had 30 this past year. Out of those 30 clubs, 12 were outdoor sports that had 344 student participants and that had 410 practices and competitions. And these are just student-run clubs, just like SGA organizations. They're not varsity athletics. Some of them do participate and play other schools. Our intramural sports program 10 years ago got lights and increased participation in intramural sports significantly. And since then, we've been very steady in our numbers, and we're really hurting for field space. So you can see that we have 2 outdoor sports with 122 teams that played 269 games this past year. We also have the field used for several special events for student activities, special events, as well as some student government organizations. And we had 11 events with a little under 3,000 participants. So for the last school year, you can see that we had 4,732 participants with 679 games in practices with 14 different sports being played. This does not include anybody that wants to go out there and throw a frisbee, a football, throw a softball or baseball around. So that does not include that usage, which we feel like this field turf referendum would help in making that playing space available. The demand of the student population has also increased. We have doubled in the residential population. Our population currently is 4,368 on campus. So the increased population, the students are trying to find space, green space on campus to participate, as well as our increased enrollment. You can see that we've gone over 3,500 the past 5 years. We also have the increased demand, that just the overall demand for the use. We get multiple requests from departments to use it. The Health and Exercise Science Department uses it. We get requests from student government organizations and Greek organizations to use the field. So we do feel like this is the time that we can have a significant upgrade to that space. Next thing we really want to talk about is the quality of the playing surfaces and fields, as well as the safety issues. With the grass field that gets impacted with excessive wear and tear during the fall semester, we have a high amount of usage. Every night for 3 or 4 hours, the field is just constantly being used by several different athletic groups. And then the spring sports, there's no recovery time for the grass field to recover. So in November and end of November, December, when we're finishing up all of our fall sports, there's no time to seed the grass and get it to go back to growing. So you can see that last picture that we had in March, that the field is almost unplayable, but we still participate in spring sports for our student participants. You can see that for some of the sport clubs, the field conditions do not meet their national standards, and they must play off campus. So for these sport clubs, they have to use their funds to play at an off-campus site, whether it's a park or a field, and they have to pay the student fees and funds that they've allotted for themselves rather than buying new uniforms or buying better equipment. And then intramural sport and club sports must also limit the number of practicing and competitions that we can have on the field. We've had several rainouts for our flag football league, which is impacting the student participants that want to participate, as well as our sport club. Some of them have upcoming competitions or games they need to get that practice in, and we have to cancel due to tearing up the field as well as safety reasons. Some universities have also refused to play at Rowan University for the sport clubs. We've had some away teams that saw the condition of our field, and they had to make different arrangements where our Rowan clubs had to make different arrangements to play at a different site. So it did impact, and it's also kind of an embarrassment and eyesore when teams are refusing to play on our campus, and it's a reflection of Rowan University. Last thing I want to go over is just the industry standards. For some of the sport clubs, as I said before, they do not meet the standards for their national associations, and they have to spend funds to go off campus. In 2009, we had an external review team from our national association called NERSA, and as Jamie had said, that they said that we fall woefully short. They said that we're really lacking on the green space and areas of opportunities for recreation, and as well as athletic sport clubs and intramural events for us to host. So it's really important that we need to increase that, or we need to better the playing surfaces. So many of the universities are moving towards installing synthetic turf for recreational programs. A lot of students coming out from high school are used to playing on synthetic turf, and that's what they know. And to come to a grass playing surface where it's torn up and turning into mud and dirt is not ideal for their usage. So you can see that our recommendation is to turf the varsity soccer field as well as the recreation field, which we currently call the intramural field. And it just really addresses the quality of the playing fields and meets the demands for the students. Just hands up in the room, how many has used the intramural field for any recreation, field day, Labor Day beach bash? So that's a surface that that it is a high usage area, and it's important. It does impact the quality of life for the students on the campus. The varsity field would be available for intramural and sport club practices and competitions, but not used for athletic events. So as Jamie had said, that the funding structure is here. It's going to be anywhere from 1.6 to 1.9 million to pay for the two fields. And then it will be fully funded through the students' fees. It's $10.75 per student each semester for 7 years. So next we're going to have our students talk about their experience.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mariah Francisco, and I work for Student University Programmers and Rowan After Hours. So I'm kind of here tonight to talk to you more about the student activities perspective on the turf referendum. We, as the student activities, put on a lot of events on the field. We put on 6 major events throughout the entire year. We've had 4 so far, and we've had 2,654 attendees. So that adds a lot of foot traffic on that field, which kind of puts into the wear and tear of the grass. What's it called? Let's see what I'm saying. And the one thing about having a grass field when it comes to event planning is weather. If it rains, even just a day before an event, we have to make a decision whether or not we want to keep the event outside or bring it inside. And if we have to bring an event indoors, it kind of takes away from the experience, the event that we want to put on outside, and also could affect the novelties that we have. We can't bring certain things indoors, so it kind of affects our events as a whole. So.
Hi guys, I'm Corinne Manzo. I'm the president of the Rowan Club softball team. We are a fall and spring sport, which means that we are using this field throughout the whole school year. In August, we have to submit practice request forms to the rec center, as well as in November. In August, we do it quickly. It's on a first-come, first-served basis. But come November, once we experience the conditions of these fields and we see that they're really not playable for us, the lines for softball are deteriorated and they're no longer there, we actually take money that we are allocated from the school and use it to go off campus, which takes us away from doing other things as a team. They also recommended that we can split the intramural field, but as a softball president, and I am reliable of my whole team, I did not agree with that situation because, God forbid, we hit a fly ball, ground ball, whatever, and somebody on the other team who's practicing gets an injury. We're reliable for that. So more practice space would definitely be good. Also, I'd rather much be willing to pay $10.75 out of my tuition opposed to paying out of pocket each semester to travel off campus, which is going to be way more than just the $10. And that also limits my availability to take people onto the team who are in financial situations. Turf is way more dependable and reliable. Last spring, I calculated the number of practices we actually got to practice on the intramural field opposed to the cancellations, and there was almost double the cancellations as to practices, so that's definitely a downfall.
Hi, my name is Andrew Wilkinson, and I'm the club soccer president here at Rowan University and a sport club supervisor. Teams have refused to play us based on our field conditions. Like, I emailed the president from Ryder saying that we could host our game. We had the time and the availability and the field space. And he responded to me saying that he would refuse to have his team play here because the playing surface is unplayable. And this is in the spring season. So we've also had to cancel these practices and games, which leads to forfeitures in our league and a worse record based on the fact that we just couldn't host it because it rained the day of the game. We've had to split the field space with other sport clubs like men's rugby to the point of where there's 75 kids splitting half of a field between two different sport clubs, meaning space and injuries are far more likely. And also we've had injuries during practices and games that were directly related to the playing surface that is provided on the IM field. Any questions?
All right, so I'm going to allow 10 minutes for questions about this topic. It could be lower. It doesn't have to take the whole 10, everyone. If we run out of questions, we don't have to take all 10. But I'm going to allow 10 minutes because it is something a little bit more, it takes a little bit more money and all that stuff. So I'm going to take questions. Everyone can answer. So I'm going to see a hand right here.
So I'm wondering, what is the total cost of this, and is the entire cost of the turf field being paid out of the student fees?
It's $1.6 million to turf both fields, and it's cheaper if you do two together instead of just doing the one. It is being funded by students.
Entirely?
Yeah. The university is willing, they're putting up the initial cost so we can have it for the fall, and then we're pretty much just paying them back for it.
So the question, just to repeat it, was who's paying for the field itself and how much was the actual cost? We're going to take right there.
Can I just make a quick comment?
Go ahead.
One of the things that we had discussed, I discussed with Jamie and the e-board was all the regular maintenance of the turf field still will need maintaining, a lot of equipment, vacuums, and then also the lifespan of a turf field is only about 10 to 12 years. And so at that time, we would not come back 12 years later and ask for the students to fund the reinstallation of the turf area. The rec center operating budget will be able to handle that at that time. So, wanted to make sure everyone was aware that we will be putting in significant monies for the maintaining and after the 10-year period to put it back in as well.
All right, I had a question right here. Go ahead. So the question was whether or not it was more cost effective to have a turf field instead of having to replant every single year.
I think cost effectiveness is just one piece. I mean, we do feel like the $30,000 we put into the summer really goes down the toilet after 2 months. But I really think for us it's quality. I mean, we take the fact that students want to participate in whatever seriously and that they should have the same type of quality field space as the varsity athletes. I mean, it's intramural sports, it's club sports, it's recreation, but it should be a safe, quality field, and we're not very proud of our field. I mean, again, you saw the pictures, and so part of it is cost effectiveness down the long road, but I think there are a number of factors that are equally as important.
I see a question right here. Yeah, go ahead.
I know you guys said how many people use the intramural field, but what about the soccer field?
Well, right now, only varsity soccer uses that field. So no sport clubs, no free time, anything, because they are very protective of their grass and they don't want anybody to mess it up. And so we don't get to use that space. So by adding the turf, we would get to use that space for games and practices and all different stuff, which they have, as I said, and they said earlier, they have to cancel a lot of practices and they can't have enough practices, so it would add a whole additional field for that.
Yep.
Other than just the varsity teams, other people would be able to use it?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, that would be the agreement that it opens up for recreational use when the two varsity soccer teams aren't using it. So, I mean, they use the field only about 4 hours a day. So could see how many more hours. And it's already a lighted field, which is really nice. So we wouldn't have to add the lights to that. So we would get that all hours that soccer's not on it.
Awesome. And the question was just who uses, sorry, it's a little loud, who uses the soccer field itself. So I see a question way in the back over down there.
That's,
No, I think-
that's
right.
actually not accurate. The field that is the practice field, that's not for soccer. The one that they're doing right now, is that what you're
Yes.
talking about? Yeah, that has nothing to, like, the varsity soccer field will be the varsity soccer field. That one has no intention of moving, and they're not paving it or building anything there. Absolutely not.
No, no. So actually what the plan down the road 5 to 10 years is that the varsity soccer team actually goes down to the West Campus. So then that field space would be recreation, student recreation all the time. So the practice soccer fields are, yes, being taken away for the parking lot, but the varsity, there's no plans at all in the master plan for the varsity field to go anywhere.
Right here, Jenna.
I know I've tried to get a line-by-line budget of our student fees multiple times, and I've been given this little half sheet that doesn't actually give me any information. So is there no way that we can reallocate some of the student fees we already pay? Because, like, I know there's not really very much, like, visibility about where our money's actually going. So I think that, is there a way to look at where our student fees are going? Like, can the students do that and then maybe reallocate some funding to do this? And my second question is, I know that the Alumni Foundation, for example, racks in, like, millions of dollars every year. And I know alumni will sometimes give big gifts. Has that been a route that we've kind of tried to look at?
So first question, we can look into getting a clearer, more transparent list. I totally agree with you. As of reallocating that money, I don't think there's nothing we can do about, because everything already goes somewhere. So there really isn't anything we can like take from other people or like remove from certain budgets, because it's already out and everybody has those budgets that they're expecting. So we really can't like take away from those, if that makes sense. And then, what was your second question again?
Just the fact that the Alumni Foundation, I know, brings in like millions of dollars every year, and there are oftentimes if you bring a project to them, they'll fund that project like specifically. Have we done that? $10.75 seems like a lot of money, to be perfectly honest, and I don't know when like the student fee increase we're going to stop.
Right. Well, this is only temporary, and it is a smaller fee than what was expected. That when we talked to the senior vice president of finance, he gave us a 5-year option, which is a little more costly, or a 7-year option to repay for the field. So we chose the cheaper option of the two to make it a little bit more reasonable. But I agree, it is a little high. But in the end, like the service that you're going to get from it is worth $20 a year, essentially.
I just have one comment on the cost portion. I'm a mechanical engineering student here, and I pay, or every engineering student pays a $150 engineering differential fee per semester. So, and we don't know where that money goes or what it's for, so we pay that much money. So, no, I'm just saying if you're looking at $11 versus the $150 that's not allocated towards it.
Hey, everyone, one at a time. One at a time. I just wanted to clarify with the cost that it is paid 7 years and 7 years only. So it's just to kind of clarify that, because I know that was a comment that was quickly mentioned, that you don't know when it's going to end. So it's going to end in 7 years and 7 years only. So next question I have way in the back over there.
Right. What? The plan, like the classes after you graduate, like those classes will continue to pay the fee until it's paid back.
Yeah, just to clarify that too, is that happens on a lot of campuses, is that you vote for on something, just like the rec center. The rec center was created because students wanted a space where they didn't have varsity practices taking over the whole gym and you can't work out or you can't play basketball. So over 20 years ago, students voted and said, we want our own facility. We could walk in and work out on our own, take a group fitness class, play open recreation, volleyball, basketball. And that's what this is for, is we're hoping that you're willing to invest when you are here until you graduate, as well as for future students that they would pay for this fee, which is an investment for a quality recreation area.
Yeah, just as an example, the rec center, the students at the time, they started in 1984 paying for the rec center. The rec center didn't open until 1993. What's really nice about this deal is that the university is guaranteeing it will be ready to go for fall of 2015. So we're actually, in essence, not making you, like at most universities, making the students pay for years and then building it. The university is at least saying, okay, if you vote the okay, we'll front the money, but you'll pay it back. So that's very different than most universities. And just so all of you know, at most campuses, especially state institutions, because there are a lot of priorities, academic priorities, amenities like recreation and student centers, they're really important to students because you're outside the classroom about 18 hours a day. But to the university, they have to prioritize. And often, almost on every campus, they go through a referendum process to fund rec centers and student centers and things that they think are amenities to students. And so it's very common practice. Like I said, the rec center was built on that foundation in the 1980s. But what's very different is the fact that you're actually getting the field right away versus waiting, paying, and then you never seeing it, like 10 years worth of the students who paid on the rec center and never got to step foot. So that is the only little bit of difference that we wanted to clarify.
I see a hand in the class center section. Yep.
Well, again, the maintenance fees alone, we still have to hire the groundskeepers and the equipment. So some of the equipment that's used on the varsity turf field right now, the other turf field, we'll have to lay out like $20,000 or $30,000 for one huge tractor vacuum. So the cost of maintaining the field, like we are assuming. So we still will have in our budget about $75,000 to stay up on maintaining it. It's not as easy as just put it down and then it just stays. It has to be brushed and food has to be taken out of it and gum has to be cut out of it. And so to maintain it, it's extremely costly, and we are taking that under the rec center budget.
All right. I see Devon right there. Can you repeat that question?
Just the people. Can you speak a little louder also?
So the question is whether or not we can move the fees to those who use the fields instead of those who do not. Was that the question? Just verifying? Okay, so the question is... Yeah.
So because the fields are going to be used by everyone and everyone is invited to play club, intramural sports, they're able to use that space for free time once we have turf. Additionally, they use it for events, SUP, stuff like that. We have no way to track who does and doesn't use the field, so it really would be kind of discriminatory to say, like, you definitely use the field and you definitely don't. So there's no way for us to differentiate the students that do use it and that wouldn't use it. Because it's going to be available to all students, it's also really not fair to say, oh, you didn't pay for the turf field, so you can't come play on it.
All right. So 10 minutes is up. If we do have any more questions, we can extend time, but we need a motion for that. I have a motion to extend time, but how much? By 2 minutes. Is there a second? All right. So we have all those in favor? All those opposed? All right.
Nicolette?
All right, we'll extend time for that. Go ahead, Nicolette. It's one more question.
Yes, and that's part of our agreement with varsity athletics is that they told us that we will be able to access the varsity soccer field as part of this, as well as the stadium. The stadium The stadium is used by intramural sports and sport clubs, but it is not open to anybody to walk in and use the track or use the turf field. That's what you're saying? Yes. Okay. As far as requests to the stadium, they can take requests to use the stadium. I'm not sure if they can coordinate that. I know they do reserve times for the stadium for the varsity to have practices and stuff, and you can on 25 Live request to use that space. I don't control that facility space, and I know that's a good question, but part of this agreement is varsity said that if we have the varsity soccer field turf, it will be open for student usage when they're not using it for the 12 home competitions.
That is up to students and the recreation center staff to uphold that. And it's no different than upholding the original referendum to the rec center said no varsity athletics will be in the rec center except for swimming. And it's 21 years later and we don't allow varsity athletics to be in the rec center. So upholding a referendum is very important to those of us who work with students. So whatever is written in the referendum is what we'll uphold. And we are very adamant about doing that because we've done it for 21 years at the rec center. And the athletes haven't been very happy with us not allowing practices and letting them work out as a team. But that's, it's a recreational gymnasium and not an athletic space. So so we have been able to uphold that original referendum.
All right, so that is the end of the other 2 minutes. Is there a motion to extend time? If not, we can go to discussion. All right, we'll go. Go ahead, Jamie.
So for those of you who aren't aware what a referendum is, all this is asking permission to ask the student body if this is something that they would want. So you're not voting right now if we're turfing the field or not, if students are paying for it or not. You're just voting whether or not we can ask them. So just so you're aware, yeah, so that's what a referendum is. That's what this is for. And so you don't have to worry about, are people going to be mad if you pass this? No, because you're just simply asking if they want it or not. And the student body will vote if they want to have it or not.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to go into discussion. You all can sit down now. So we're going to go into discussion about the turf fields in this resolution. Jamie, can you bring back the resolution up on the screen? All right. Do we have any hands for discussion? We're going to limit it to, let's go another 10 minutes. I know you might kill me, but another 10 minutes. You don't have
Also co-authored by Kunal, who's our student trustee alternate. He is unable to be here tonight, so I might not be able to answer all of your questions, but I'll try my best. And I'm just going to read it again real quick for you. So whereas holding a position as president, vice president, chief financial officer, assistant vice presidents, recording secretary, and public relations director on the student government executive board is a demanding job that requires many hours both in and out of the office, and whereas currently anyone who has the position of assistant vice presidents, recording secretary, and public relations director is not monetarily compensated in any way for the work that they put into their job, and whereas these positions are responsible for voicing the concerns and issues of the student body, and whereas holding one of these positions on the Student Government Executive Board may exclude students of lower socioeconomic status who are unable to hold a public service position without compensation, and whereas the Student Government Association tuition account has a surplus to accommodate for potential out-of-state tuition expenses for any of the 3 currently compensated positions, therefore let it be resolved that the positions of President, Vice President, and Chief Financial Officer be entitled to 67% of the SGA tuition account, split evenly for compensation not to exceed the cost of in-state tuition for the year. Therefore, let it be resolved that the positions of the Assistant Vice Presidents, Recording Secretary, and Public Relations Director on the Student Government Executive Board be compensated from the remaining 33% of the Student Government Association tuition account to be split evenly, not to exceed a quarter of in-state tuition for the year among the aforementioned positions. Therefore, let it be resolved that the Student Government Association bylaws shall reflect the change mentioned above. The student trustee alternate, and election commissioner will be responsible for updating said documents. Therefore, let it be resolved that the scholarship will be paid out quarterly twice each semester, and that if any of the executive board members for which this resolution applies vacate their position prior to successful completion of their term in office, they will not be entitled to the second half of their semester compensation. Therefore, be it further resolved that this resolution will be effective beginning the spring of the 2014 to 2015 academic school year, excluding the positions that are currently compensated for the 2014 to 2015 academic year.
All right, now before we begin discussion and all that, since this does involve the whole entire executive board as well as myself, we will leave the room for discussion and questions, and as well as leave the current election commissioner, Andrew Goss, as the temporary chair. All righty. So it passed? It passed, okay. Sorry about that.
Thank you, guys.
All right. So with that, the next is Senator Concerns. I do have Drew Tinnen coming up, just going to talk about a quick little concern part.
Thank you. I did hear a concern earlier when we were discussing the rec center referendum that I would like to address. A question was very validly raised about a referendum item that you all passed last semester. So just to clarify that is currently being reviewed by our Associate General Counsel, Melissa Wheatcroft. I haven't heard any further information from her at this time about that. Another thing is just the manner in which referendums and other resolutions are brought before the SGA. A change that we adopted this year is every matter that's brought before the full Senate has to be vetted by a committee, either the executive committee or one of the committees that you all sit on in the Student Government Association. Unfortunately, some of the items that were brought before the board last year weren't vetted beforehand. It's really important that students have a voice in SGA, and I really appreciate that students took initiative and brought before the board a lot of matters last year, but unfortunately they weren't vetted in advance. So for example, tonight the rec center, they've already met with the senior vice president for finance, and they agreed to fund this and everything. So that's been fully vetted in advance, and we're trying to help you all do that, again, by having items sponsored through committee before they get here. Unfortunately, we didn't have the lead time on that item last year, and we're playing catch up.